This week we're talking all about a certain famous wizard that has recently appeared in the limelight. We're going to talk about all of Tasha's famous lore and history and how you can use her in your campaigns. Welcome to We Speak Common. Hello and welcome to the D&D podcast for everyone, because here we speak common. This is the first episode of Legends and Lore, and the show is brought to you in partnership with the Dice Dungeon, who are your premium supplier of D&D dice, both metal and resin, here in the UK. You can get 10% off with the code We Speak Common at checkout, or use the link in the description below. It's also the show lovingly brought to you with the support of our patrons, who get some really unique little gifts and extras, plus access to a private Discord server. If you want to find out more and support the show in any way, big or small, all the details is in the description, where everything always is. I am joined today by Samuel. Hello, Sam. How you doing, mate?
Hello, Ben. How you doing?
Yeah, I'm good. I'm very good. So, Sam, you are episode 3 of Meet the Mod Team. So you are a mod on the Discord server with the Patreons, and the one thing I keep asking everybody, or over the last 2 weeks, I keep asking, how is the server? How are you finding it? Are you enjoying it? Go. Sell it to me.
It's great. It's my crux to jump on when I need D&D advice from a load of people. I'm like, guys, I need to flesh out a tavern. Can you all send me 5 or 6 characters?
Yeah.
And then, for example, yesterday I was getting sent quite a few inspirations for characters. It was quite nice.
Yeah, it is a really good place for just stealing ideas and stuff. I've already stolen ideas from it, and I think everybody's already stolen ideas from it, to be honest with you, all of us.
Yeah, 100%.
So yeah, we're already building out that fun community that you can go to and just basically get an instant reply on any D&D issue that you might have, and it's growing as well because we've opened up a suggestions channel for chat. Mm-hmm. And loads of suggestions have come in, including the most active channel, which was not what I thought, the D&D meme channel. So
the D&D meme channel.
Yeah, that's there too now. That's not where I thought it was going to go, but that's
my favourite channel.
Yeah. I think we've got our resident memer, Firestorm, is I think he might be the only one actively populating it, because every time I see a meme I'm like, oh, he's already posted that one.
he keeps me alive with those memes, I won't lie. I check my phone every now and then, and it's just here we go.
Oh, another joke.
It's boosted. It's great.
Yeah, it is good stuff. Okay, so Legends and Lore, this is the first episode. This is the show that is all about the people, the characters, the NPCs, the locations, the monsters, all of the stuff that's built into D&D that we love, and using that and learning more about it. And I know that you, and I take this the right way, you are what I would consider a baby DM.
I'm a baby DM, and I'm a lore baby too, because I know a lot of lore.
All of it, every single bit,
all of the laws. Yep.
So I let you pick a topic for this one, because I was like, what do you want to know about? As someone who doesn't know a lot about D&D lore, what's one thing that you want to know more about and potentially how to use in your campaigns? And you've picked a stonker, to be honest, for a first one.
Yeah. It's a name of one of the books, so it's bound to have a couple of people that know a little about it. So I was like, hey, let's go. I want to learn.
I have done a lot of research, and I've got it all here on my notes app on my phone, and I am really excited about this. I honestly, doing the research for this one gave me so many ideas.
Yeah, so you were saying you were very excited by this one.
Yeah, and I've been trying not to tell you any of it as well, so we can save it for today. So
I'm prepared to lose my crap. It's scary.
Yeah, so I'm hoping that you can get ideas from this, because there's so much stuff going on with this character. So today we are talking about Tasha, as in Tasha's Cauldron of Everything, Tasha's Hideous Laughter.
What's her name? What's like the other one?
Oh, mate, she's got like 5 names.
Oh,
yeah,
not like that
yeah.
main one that I thought was her name.
No. There's like 5 names. So Tasha is a big character, and I'm gonna try my best to go through this in a linear fashion, but it really does go all over the place because there's so much cool stuff that she's got going on.
This is gonna spiral so bad.
Yeah. So honestly, ask me questions as and when you have them, all right? Because I will probably like circle back around to stuff.
Mm-hmm.
So let's start off with Tasha. So Tasha, if you do not know, is, as like many of the named wizards from D&D spells, Mordenkainen, Tensor, Big B, they are original characters that go all the way back to 1st edition. So this girl's been in D&D for years. Basically its whole life.
Stonks.
Yeah. So unlike Mordenkainen, who was famously the actual player character of Gary Gygax, she seems to have always been an NPC as far as I can tell.
Whoa! This is a first. What? Mordenkainen?
Did you not know that?
No. This
okay.
is news to me. This is great.
Okay, well we'll do an episode of Mordenkainen one day too.
That's going to be fabulous.
But yeah, so she has been around since the early days of D&D, and in being so, has been one of those characters who, like Mordenkainen, has a named spell after them that has existed throughout all of D&D and has popped up around the cosmos, the multiverse, but not many people know a lot about her. And part of that is because of her 5 names, which makes it a bit confusing, but we'll get into that. So we'll start off with her early years, which I think are the best years. So Tasha, we don't know anything about her birth parents. What we do know is that as a very, very young girl, she was adopted and raised by Baba Yaga. Baba
Yaga.
The mother of all hags, as she is known.
See, now you told me something the other day about Baba Yaga existing in the real world.
Yes, so Baba Yaga in D&D is the same as our Earth Baba Yaga, the Russian folklore. So Baba Yaga, like the boogeyman, she is in D&D she is a fey being, and she has famously a hut that has chicken legs. So this hut sits in the ground, but it grows up out of the ground on chicken legs and it walks, and she uses that to move between here in the Feywild and the other planes of existence, and travels around the multiverse. And
it's just convenient, really.
Yeah, it's really convenient. And as a Fey being would be, she's all about like wandering around and finding stuff and discovering things. And Baba Yaga's a really interesting character, and probably one we will talk about another time.
That's for
properly.
Another episode.
Yeah, there's too much going on there. But because she is the same Baba Yaga as Earth Baba Yaga, and because there is a pendant for D&D to have a connection with Earth in the past, Ed Greenwood, I believe it was, had a column in one of the original magazines where he would invite Elminster, Mordenkainen, and I forget the name of the wizard from Kryn, but they would come to his house and he would interview them. And he also had an article where Elminster and Mordenkainen had a whole conversation while he was like hiding in the cupboard writing it down. So there is, it's such cool stuff. There is an existing connection between our Earth and the D&D land and multiverse.
Yeah, that's awesome. Like,
there is a theory, therefore, that Tasha is just a human from Earth.
Oh.
Yeah, it's
that's
cool
spicy. I like
cool
that.
So she was raised by this Fey being, this immortal Fey being, and that's kind of where her life started. Her life started as a child, learning magical arts from Baba Yaga, traveling to the Feywild, traveling to different planes of existence, and just basically having a really cool time, to be honest with you.
The best childhood ever. Like, come on. It's the
Feywild.
Feywild.
Yeah, I mean, the Feywild's just crazy. Upside down for so many colours. When you go through Tasha's Cauldron and everything, there are sections where she talks about her childhood with Baba Yaga, and they are some of the best flavour text. They're so good. So if you want to know like what it's like to be the child of an immortal Fey being, then just read Tasha's Cauldron of Everything, because it's all in there. Okay. Blowing that
I'll
off.
have to do that.
You're starting off to a good start, blowing that off the top of the lid. Any questions so far going in?
Oh, I'm just psyched that she could be human from Earth.
Mm.
Can
There
you
was a
imagine the
recent,
potential for that, though? Like,
Mate, I love that stuff. And there's if you watch Acquisitions Inc., the most recent time that I know of that D&D has connected to the real world is when Chris Perkins brought the Acquisitions Inc. team to the Wizards of the Coast offices during one of the games. So that's really cool. Like, they got in an elevator and they met the Chris Perkins in the game.
that's cool.
It's so cool. So there's some really fun connections there. So yeah, she could be. And there was an interview that Jeremy Crawford did about Tasha where he said that, I'm going to neither confirm nor deny that she's from Earth, and that you probably will see a lot more from her in the future. So it could get confirmed, but I don't know. I mean, we don't know the direction that D&D is going to take.
But that
would be cool.
That also leaves open the opportunity to run a game, because Baba Yaga has that connection to Earth. Tasha has that connection to Earth. You've then also got the potential to run a little medieval.
Oh yeah.
Force some really magical characters into a really just non-magical world. It's an interesting opportunity that you can get from that.
Yeah, there's a lot you can do with it, and it's a fun little extra.
So many ideas.
I mean, you can connect Earth to D&D in your own games whenever you want, but the point is there is an existing thread for that to be a thing in D&D. It's canon, as it were. So she travelled and learnt with Baba Yaga, but we believe that, or we see from her past that Tasha comes from or spends majority of her life in Greyhawk, one of the original D&D settings for D&D. That is also the place where Mordenkainen comes from. So she kind of wanders the multiverse, grows up with Baba Yaga, and then at some point moves to Greyhawk and stays there for a long period of time. And that is where the majority of her appearances happen. In Greyhawk, and just kind of put a pin in that, just to get you set, because I know you don't know a lot about original D&D.
I'm paused. Yeah, you really tripped me up with Greyhawk, and I'm still sitting on the floor what?
Yeah, so Greyhawk is one of the original D&D campaign settings, and before Forgotten Realms, before Ed Greenwood made Forgotten Realms, it was Gary Gygax's setting, and it is good to point out before we go any further that original D&D characters weren't really good people. They kind of your player characters weren't the kind of stereotype of heroes that we have now. They existed and they traveled the world and they did things, but they usually did them for themselves. You got XP by getting gold. So usually they would plunder and explore and stuff, but they weren't really good people. So bear that in mind, because a lot of Tasha's background paints her as an antagonist. If you look at it the way that you would look at D&D characters now, she looks evil, but I don't get the feeling that she really is evil. I think, like Mordenkainen, she is just very, very neutral and does things for herself. That is how I would play her. So she's in Greyhawk, and having left Baba Yaga and learnt everything from her and going out on her own as a woman, she joins a group of adventurers who are called the Company of Seven. Now, the Company of Seven came a lot later than the other famous Greyhawk adventuring band known as the Circle of Eight, which included, I believe, 8 wizards. I don't think they were all wizards, but that is the group that Big B and Mordenkainen come from. The Company of Seven and the Circle of Eight kind of became, just whack the mic, become rivals, and through that, Mordenkainen and Tasha become frenemies. They're not enemies, they're not friends, they're kind of
I'm
proper
sensing
rivalry.
some shipping potential right here.
There's probably some sexual tension, although Mordenkainen is an arsehole, so maybe not. But yeah, and it's also worth noting that the Company of Seven and the Circle of Eight happen years apart from each other. And as with most very powerful archmages, Tasha extends her life, and she lives a lot longer than she should as a human. But later down the line, it's kind of implied that she stops just extending her life through magic and becomes an immortal being through her power, because she was raised by a fae being that is immortal. So it's kind of implied that she just is immortal a little bit.
She just is.
She just lives forever, just for all
Yeah.
time. But I mean, you could rewrite that as a DM any way you wanted. You could say she's just doing it through magics like cloning and simulacrums and things like that, or
It
just
also
a lich or
gives
something.
kind of
It's up to you.
area for you to sit there and go, she's immortal, she can turn up anywhere. You
Yes.
could, if you wanted, just chuck her in. You probably shouldn't, but you could just chuck her in anywhere and it would make sense.
The thing with these very famous wizards is don't be afraid to use them anywhere, is my opinion, because like Mordenkainen has a tower that teleports around the planes. Like Tasha has access to Baba Yaga, who can like teleport her, and had learned from her. She can get around. So, you know, they can show up anywhere, and that's kind of the best part about them. You can use them however you want.
It's great.
So she's in Greyhawk. She's part of this adventuring party, and she decides, I need to apprentice underneath a different wizard. So she apprentices under a wizard called Zagig. Now, I don't know a lot about Zagig, but Zagig was a member... Well, it's a good name, innit?
Yeah.
They all have good names. They all had great names.
They're just names that, like, you know, bring joy when you read them out. It's quite nice.
Yeah. So she apprentices under him. He's a very powerful archmage. She learns everything from him. He's part of the company of 7 too. And then I think eventually they get on level, and then she, at that point, she then kind of leaves the circle, the company of 7. So all these companies and circles and cabals and things, it's confusing. So she does apprentice under an actual wizard after, you know, learning from Baba Yaga. It's at this point, I think, and this is where it's confusing, she goes by the name of Natasha or Natasha the Dark. So there are 3 names that are very similar: Tasha, Natasha, and Natasha the Dark. And I think she starts as either Natasha or Natasha the Dark, and then Tasha comes a lot later. So at this point, that's what she's known as.
So that's basically like her first name, sort of. Okay, yeah. I like that.
We don't know if Natasha is her original name, whether she changed it when you know, Baba Yaga found her and went, I'm going to call you Tasha because you're a baby.
Sylvan name that nobody can pronounce. So
she's probably like, got something. Yeah, Baba Yaga probably
Natasha
had like a pet name for her. You know?
Sorry, my camera's flashing.
Oh, do you want to check it?
I will.
It's cool. Second. We can pause from the D&D chat to make sure that your equipment is working.
And it's rolling again.
Oh, sweet. Okay. That's cool. I mean, what is the podcast without some problems, you know?
Exactly.
Okay, cool. So, if it does it again, you'll just keep dropping in and out of videos. It's fine. So yeah, so she's got all these different names, and like Baba Yaga probably did have like a nickname for her in some Fey tongue that we don't know. So you can have a lot of fun with that and give her a different alias if you want to. If you don't want to use the original names, because if you've got players who like know the lore, maybe they listen to this podcast. If they don't, or if they just know the lore anyway, then, you know, give her a different name, it'll be fine. Give her an alias, and then when it's revealed, it's like that shock twist. Ooh. So she leaves the company of 7. She leaves the apprenticeship of Zagig, and at this point extends her life and moves on to the next phase. She rubs shoulders with people like Mordenkainen, like Elminster, like Heward, as in Heward's Handy Haversack, the guy who made that magic item. She is part of the era of D&D where all of the famous names come from.
Is Elminster that, like, mad crazy dude?
No, you're thinking of Hallister.
Oh, okay.
Elminster is Ed Greenwood's wizard, who is part of the big long series of books. He is like the Mordenkainen of Faerun.
Oh, okay.
That's really not doing either of those characters justice, but that's a really simple way.
It's like a really basic Sam way of understanding it. Yeah.
Yeah, he's the big famous wizard from Forgotten Realms. Mm-hmm. He's known as Elminster, the Sage of Shadowdale. He is a champion of Mystra, the god of magic and the weave in the Forgotten Realms and Faerun. You met him as your character at the start of the Tomb of Annihilation game.
Did I?
Yeah, you just didn't know who he was.
That's probably where I recognized the name.
When James was like, I know who that is. Oh my god, that was Elminster.
Oh!
Yeah.
It went straight over my head.
That's
Like,
fine. It's cool.
Yeah.
Not everything I do is sometimes a lot of the stuff I do in my games is just for people like James who know all the lore. Like it's just for me and James. But yeah, so she rubs shoulders with all these people, and it's probably important to say that like she 100% surpasses them. Mordenkainen is often thought as I think I always see him as like the big main wizard, the big guy who's like the powerful wizard in D&D history. But she could absolutely wipe the floor with Mordenkainen.
So
Like 100%.
would you argue? Now this could be controversial. Would you argue that she's the most powerful wizard in D&D lore? I don't know enough about D&D lore to like.
Probably not. I don't know. There are a lot of wizards, and like we need to remember that there was in the Forgotten Realms the magocracy of the Neferese, and how Kaisis, created 12th level spells that made him an avatar of Mystra. Like, yeah, he basically fucked up the world, but he had that. They were very powerful wizards. So I don't know if she's the most powerful, but she's definitely up there.
On the power level, she's quite high.
100%. Yeah, okay, she is extremely, extremely clever and powerful. And we'll talk about how you can portray that once we've got through all the lore. But yeah, so she could definitely beat Mordenkainen, and there's a lovely little nod to that in Tasha's Cauldron of Everything. There's got a full piece art spread. I think it's full piece. It might be top corner actually. Of her and Mordenkainen playing wizard's chess, and if you look at the board, Mordenkainen is losing.
Yeah, that's one because I was taking photos for the Instagram, and it was actually I was flicking through the pictures. I was looking for some really nice kind of art, and that was one I stumbled upon, and I was like, "This is interesting. I hope this comes up." Yeah.
So yeah, her and Mordenkainen are big frenemies. They probably work together if it benefits them each other, and they go against each other when they both want the same thing.
I'm definitely shipping these two. They sound like an ideal couple.
I mean, yeah, it's probably a very toxic relationship if that were the case. But... So she's up there, man. She's really up there, and it's
That's
at
awesome.
This point where she becomes like so powerful that I think there's not really a pinpoint, but I think it's at that point where she kind of becomes immortal. She takes on a name at one point, Hura, Hura, Hura. I can't find much on that name, but she uses that name. I think she appears in a few adventures under that name, but I couldn't find much history on that. It might be under that name that she becomes the Witch Queen. The Witch Queen is a period of her life where she basically takes over or inherits an area of Greyhawk and rules over it. And she appears in adventures in Greyhawk as the Witch Queen.
So, sort of her life is being divided up by names,
like eras, yeah,
like
eras
so
of her life.
You can sort of work out at what point she is by the name that's being used with.
Yeah, where we are in 5th edition, because we haven't seen her in so long, and this book is the first appearance of her.
Yeah.
We kind of assume that she still goes by Tasha, or I do at the least. And when you read the opening of the book, she is talking as if she is still in Greyhawk, because she talks about Mordenkainen and about how she got a copy of her own book that was being looked over by the wizards that run Greyhawk, and how they don't want certain information out there. So in my mind, she is currently in Greyhawk, and that could be wrong, and we will probably see more of her in the future. Like when Mordenkainen's Tome of Foes came out, Mordenkainen appeared in Curse of Strahd, and then later in Descent into Avernus, in 2 very different states. So I would expect her to make an appearance.
I'd love to see her in an adventure. That would be really cool.
My only issue with that, like, Mordenkainen appeared and he was like, in Curse of Strahd, it was like, use the Archwizard stat block, and I was like, that's not good enough for Mordenkainen.
Yeah. Well, we had that same struggle with the character that I had. It's just, it doesn't match the power of, who they are.
But we'll get to that, because, that's a timer on my phone, ignore that. But we'll get to that, because there are theories I have for that kind of stuff. So she lives as the Witch Queen, she rules an area, and it's after that point of her life that I think things get really, really interesting.
Oh, this is where it gets interesting.
Yeah. Oh, yeah.
Oh.
This is where it gets spicy.
I thought it was interesting already.
One of the things that she, like all great wizards, knows is like one thing that she needs, well, like a powerful thing that a wizard always needs, is a really good set of D&D dice. And I think that she is so clever. She's so knowledgeable that she would know the best place to get D&D dice.
I thought I was gonna snipe this one out after Ray last week. I was like, I'm gonna see it. I'm gonna see it coming. I'm gonna.
No, mate.
Nope.
No
way.
You never know when the ad segment comes up.
That one,
yeah, we are supported.
Right hooked me.
Yeah, completely. We're supported by a wonderful company here in the UK called the Dice Dungeon. They do premium D&D dice, both resin and metal dice, and they are bringing out, and I think I'm allowed to talk about this. I don't know. So Ben might slap my wrist and tell me off, but I think it's safe to say that they are bringing out a fun new optional. I feel bad saying it. Shall I message him and ask him really quickly while we're recording? Ben, can I talk about? Shall I?
While he's asking Ben, look at these. Look at these.
Do you know what?
Oh,
you've got a set with you.
This is great, isn't it?
I'm not gonna ask him, Sam. I'm just gonna risk it. I'm gonna risk it for a chocolate biscuit. So the Dice Dungeon is bringing out, and I believe should be on their website now. He says, thinking he's seen something.
Quickly looks at website to make sure they're on the website.
I'm looking at the Discord channel because he's been talking about it in the behind the scenes section on the Discord. Okay, I think they said they're out. So basically, you can now get Bag of Fates, which is like a luck of the draw of which set of dice you would get. You pay a set amount of money, and you can get a random set of dice between two values, and it's either on par with what you've spent or it's more. So you've got a chance of like making some real savings. Yeah, it's really fun. The bags are fun too. Alongside stuff like that, which you should definitely go and check out, they do really, really great, just beautiful, beautiful dice. I have on hold for me a set of plain shard Shadowfell dice. If you haven't seen them, I talked about them last week. Go and look.
I've got these really nice fairy
what
fire dice.
Oh yes, Phoebe has the fairy fire dice.
They are beautiful, man. Like, they are my go-to for Advantage now. Yeah. Whenever we're at Advantage, whenever Ronan's at Advantage,
that's what you go for.
I pull these bad boys. Yeah, because they're bound, as James and Ray have both said, they are bound to get you the best rolls. It's great.
Oh, you haven't been playing long enough in my games for them to give you bad rolls yet.
Nope.
But yeah, go and check them out. If you follow the link in the description below, you can get 10% off your order, or you can use the code WeSpeakCommon at checkout, and it's 10% off the entire order. So the more you spend, the more money you get off.
It's great.
Yeah. Go and check them out. They are absolutely just apart from being a great company, they're really great guys. Ben and Dave are wonderful, and they're both in the Discord server, and they like to share secret behind the scenes things that they have going on as well as here on the podcast. So
yeah, so we special guys on the Discord, we get it early. We get to see what comes out, and sometimes, I don't know if you're allowed to say this or not, sometimes you might even help them name a couple of sets, which is pretty badass.
Yeah, that is true. Yeah, so there's lots going on there, and don't forget as well that you can, as a member of the Patreon, get access to that server, so go and check that out too. It's completely optional, but if you want to check it out, do. And it's a fun space.
Isn't there a new thing on the Patreon that was recently released to patrons?
Oh, you're so good. Sam. You're so good. Yes, there is a new thing. So last week I released my official rework of the Sorcerer class. So you can now, as a member of the Patreon, grab a spell point variant Sorcerer class, which works in tandem with every single piece of published material up to Tasha's. So I did a lot of work to build out how the class works, explain it all properly, but then I also went through all of the subclasses and made changes to some of the abilities that needed to be changed to work with spell points. To be honest with you, it's mostly just change out the word sorcery point for spell point.
Yeah.
Because a lot of them work. There were only a couple that needed a proper redo. But yeah, it's a really fun class, and Phoebe's playing it in our Tomb of Annihilation.
She's been
game
really
right
excited. There's something, I haven't been told it yet, but there's something really cool that she can do, because our characters are siblings. There's something really cool that she can do that I'm just not being told about. And yeah.
So yeah, as a member of the Patreon, you can go and grab that. It's available for all Greyhound initiates and up. And there will be more coming out in the coming days, weeks, and months. Sam and I are actually working together on something right now, but we're not going to tell you what that is because spoilers.
Oh.
You're like, yeah, let me tell
Please,
you. No,
please!
No, Sam. No, Sam, it's a secret. Okay, so Tasha. She is the Witch Queen of an area in Greyhawk. She is, at this point, popping up in Adventurers as, I believe, an antagonist at the time.
Oh.
Then she goes on and leaves this area of Greyhawk and basically becomes part of different mini plots in the D&D multiverse under all of her names. So at this point onwards, she kind of pops up everywhere as Tasha, Natasha the Dark, the Witch Queen, Hara, whatever. She comes up as different names. She's all over the place, and it's hard to find like a chronological order for it. So she's basically just getting real busy and learning all the stuff.
Teleporting all over the place.
Oh yeah, absolutely. And like she probably pops up in Planescape. She probably goes to Sigil, jumps the planes. At this point she's learned how to travel from different crystal spheres. You know, she's getting round. She's getting round. I mean, she goes from she's rubbing shoulders with everybody. So she's not just hanging out in Greyhawk. Then she takes on what I think is one of the coolest names and one of the ones that I'm going to be using in my campaign.
I'm noting this down. I'm noting it down.
Yeah, man. She becomes Igwilv. Now, Igwilv, you may recognise as the author of the Demonomicon, which is an item that appears in Tasha's Cauldron of Everything. More on that in a second. So as Igwilv, she starts to research lots of different things. She becomes an enemy, a fierce enemy of the Circle of Eight and Mordekainen's party, I believe, if the timeline works out. I've read that somewhere and I can't quite confirm it. Yeah, I mean, they're frenemies. They love and hate each other at the same time. Like, they get on and they don't get on. And then she, while being Igwilv, she starts penning the Demonomicon, and in doing that, she basically seduces Gratz, the Demon Lord. So Gratz is a stat block in Mordenkainen's Tome of Foes. He is one of the many Demon Lords in the Abyss, and he's probably the how do I say this without sounding weird? He is the best looking Demon Lord. Like he's got abs for days, man.
Oh,
like, he's all about
he's that kind of Demon Lord.
Yeah. He, from what I remember, is all about like perception. But she seduces him and she uses him to learn about the Abyss, and has like this on and off relationship with him where she uses him for information, but she also gets down and dirty with him.
You know, as
like
you
they
do.
are in a relationship.
Yeah,
as you do. You know, I mean, if Gratz is knocking on your door, like you're probably going to like, hey buddy, what's going on?
100%. I don't know what this.
Yeah. Yeah, you know what happens. There is a piece of art in Tasha's again, where it's her and Gratz communicating through a magic mirror.
Yes, that's the
there,
one I
like,
used in the picture.
Yeah, I think he's like playing with his hair or something. Like he's clearly trying to like flirt with her, and she's there like talking to him. And in the background, you can see a blackboard with white chalk, and it says like harnessing the power of the abyss or something like that.
Oh,
and basically she's flirting with him. Oh, I keep hitting this microphone. She's flirting with him. To get all this information out of him. So, yeah, she uses him. And in doing cool. She pens the Demonomicon of Igwilv. And, you know, you might think, like, oh, why didn't she put her name on it? She did. She put Igwilv's name on it. Because the Demonomicon is like... It's like taking a nuke and dropping it on the Abyss. Like, it's all of the secrets of the Abyss. And she is so powerful at this point as Igwilv that she not only, you know, gets all of the real names, the true names of demons and demon lords, puts them in this book, which is a massive thing for demons. Is you get a lot of power over them. She not only writes about, you know, the source of the abyss, which is a really cool piece of lore, like this shard in the abyss that just emanates out and it grows from. She learns all of these big secrets and basically puts them in the world. But she also takes a bit of the abyss, the actual essence of the plane of chaos, and infuses it inside the Demonomicon.
That's awesome.
So the Demonomicon is a part of the abyss, which is really cool.
But can you jump into it, to the abyss?
I mean, I don't see why you couldn't. Like, if that's something you wanted it to do, you could make that a thing. What she has done in the past, and I will get into this more in the future of this episode, is the near future. She has previously trapped demon lords inside the Demonomicon.
Oh.
So the Demonomicon is kind of like Pandora's box for the abyss.
Oh,
which
that's
is really
that's
cool.
a hook. That's a hook.
Yes, it is. Yes, it is, Sam.
I like that.
And we will get into that. I'm going to tell you my plan for using that in an adventure, which you can absolutely steal in a bit. But anyway, so she's getting down and dirty with Gratz. She's having a lot of fun writing a book, having a lot of fun with him in general, probably. And she... where are my notes? Yeah, so she basically at this point is second to no wizard in the multiverse. She probably is at this point the most powerful. I don't know if that stays true throughout, but she then her relationship with Gratz goes to the next level where it's noted that at this point that he's her ally and former lover. And she
that's not the level I expected.
No, she has a baby with him. Yeah.
Oh!
So Tasha is the mother. She sired a child with Gratz the Demon Lord, and that child goes on to become the demigod Ayuz, who is a big name in D&D history. And probably another episode we should do.
Yes.
Yeah. So Ayuz is absolutely evil. He does a lot of bad stuff, a lot of bad shit. And I think he's Greyhawk related, so I think it's all around Greyhawk.
Well, when your dad's the demon lord and your mum's a badass named Natasha, Tasha, Igwilv, you're gonna be a bad boy.
Yeah, he's a bad boy, and so he goes around, does a lot of bad stuff. He appears in a lot of adventures and becomes part of the Pantheon. But yeah, she's his mum. I use his mum.
I love it. Family
that's
trees.
Pretty cool.
It's great.
So we've gone from human girl adopted by Baba Yaga, an immortal fae being, to author of the Demonomicon and child of a demigod, mother of a demigod.
That's insane.
Yeah, she's really, really cool. So she she then releases the Demonomicon. I think she releases it after Ayuz is like born, and that's kind of done. I think that's the order. Again, it's really hard to kind of tell, and it can be whatever order you want. But she releases the Demonomicon, and basically all the demons hate her and want to kill her for releasing all their secrets.
Yeah, 100%.
She blows the lid off it. And then, at that point, it kind of goes a bit quiet. She appears in a lot of adventures, and there is probably a canonical order to it, but like there are a lot of these adventures, they sort of hinge around an item. So like one of them is a crook, which appears in Tasha's. The Demonomicon appears in Tasha's. So a lot of the items in that book have history with her, and she writes about them. So you can get a kind of idea about their history by reading through those sections in Tasha's Cauldron.
So you could essentially have a mini campaign that's based on just Tasha's items. Sort of.
Absolutely.
That's cool.
Yeah, 100%.
That's really cool.
Maybe you use the group patron rules in Tasha's Cauldron and everything and make Tasha the group patron.
Oh, she just wants to get her items back,
Yeah, she wants to keep them away from all the bad boys out there, and keep them safe, So, yeah, there's a lot going on in her history, and there's a lot of gaps that aren't filled in, and if you want to go and research her, you kind of have to remember to use all the different names. Like, if you just search Tasha, you won't get everything. You have to look up Igwilv and the Witch Queen and Natasha the Dark too to kind of get a broader picture, and it's not all in one place. So it's a bit of a task learning everything about her, but she's been alive for so long and she's been doing stuff for so long that you could kind of write your own history in for her amongst it.
Yeah.
So if you wanted to use her for something and you had an idea and you're like, well, I can't find anything about her like doing X kind of mission or X kind of quest, I'll just write it in. That would be my suggestion.
she's got like this magic that allows her to live forever. So, like we said earlier, it's like you could just put her anywhere and it would sort of make sense.
Yeah, exactly. So, yeah, that's kind of a brief look at her history. She is noted as an Ortharian Archmage, and I think that's how you say that. Oerth or Orth or Orth, I don't know how you say it, is the world that Greyhawk is in, much like Forgotten Realms is on Toril. So she is based there. She is a demonologist, but she, at this point, I think, is much, much more than that. And obviously, she's penned many spells. Tasha's Hideous Laughter, the new ones, Tasha's Caustic Brew, and she does have cauldrons. She has many cauldrons. She is kind of more like a witch than a
It's cool. It's cool, yeah. But she's taken that aesthetic and, rebranding it. It's great.
Yeah, man. Yeah. So now that you know some of her lore, have you got any questions about that before we get into using her as an NPC?
Oh, like, so they're sort of just like questions about these relationships she's formed and what kind of, like, is from the research that you've got, is there anything that talks much about her relationship with her son and whether it's good or it's bad? Because like that's a piece of the puzzle of her that I sort of want to know, because it's a different side of her.
That's a good question. I haven't looked massively into that. I reckon the best thing you could do is look into Ayuz and learn more about him. But with gods and demigods, it tends to talk. I find the standard is that it tends to talk less about their history and more about their like pantheon and their following. But I mean, he's an interesting character in himself, and he has done a lot of stuff in D&D lore as well. Like, he's got a lot going on too. So you could really do anything with that. It's probably like he's a Cambion. Because that's
okay,
that's what you get between a demon and a human, much like a Serac. So a Serac is a Cambion, or is it Vecna? One of the two. I think a Serac is the Cambion.
That's another episode.
Oh mate, I love those two characters. We've definitely got to do an episode on that at some point. But he she could have raised him. She could have just gone, your dad gets custody. Like, It's up to you, but there will be probably some sliver of lore there. I just haven't looked into that yet.
No, that's fine. Like, it's just the potential of like just it could, as you say, just be she's just like, he's yours. He's definitely yours, so I'm just not going to get involved. But
look at him, he's got horns.
Yeah, it could be that she's actually had a bit of a relationship with her son and like built some sort of bond, which you can then put into a game at the like higher
It's important
levels.
to say as well that Ayuz is like, canonically he's an evil god, and people often look at Ayuz and go, well, she must be evil too then. But it's like, sins of the child aren't the sins of the parents. Like, she is much more all about like looking after herself and like how Mordekainen looks after the balance. She just like, she's neutral in my eyes. I don't think she's evil at all. She has been portrayed as evil, but again, you've got to put it through that filter of OG edition.
It goes back to that
adventurous eyes.
It goes back to that conversation of like, alignment is all kind of, it changes perspectives depending on the person. Like, I could view your character as evil, but they're doing something that like,
my characters are always evil.
Are they? Oh no.
I don't know. No, they're not. They're not at all. But yeah, so that's not really an answer to your question, but I hope that helps.
Yeah, no, that's fine.
Okay, so let's say you want to use Tasha in your adventure. How do you do it?
I do. If you're one of my players, just forget this podcast exists from now on.
Well, only for the next.
Yeah. Until the end of this episode, then you can carry on listening. But right now, just out.
So there are a lot of options here. So one of them is to use her as a group patron. Just trying to embed that subtle
Patreon.
subliminal messaging of the Patreon. There, yeah. Patreon. That was an accident. So you could use her in that way. You could use her, and I would be more inclined to use her as a character that appears and goes away, and then maybe pops up again at some point in the future. So, as with any really famous NPC, I don't think any stat blocks do them justice. Mordenkainen in Curse of Strahd, like I said, is an Archmage, and I changed that up. I don't think he even has a stat block in Descent, because I helped James create one for his Descent campaign. And I do have that stat block available on the Discord server in the Homebrew Resources chat.
Yeah, we've got everything.
I've really got to stop peddling. It's not a good look on me. But so I would suggest taking a stat block that's akin to someone like Hallister in Dungeon of the Mad Mage, or a Serac in Tomb of Annihilation, who both of those stat blocks I made beefier as well, for my own usage. So like take one of those as a starting block and then build up on it. So she absolutely has like a 25 to 27 in her intelligence. Her stats are beyond that of a player character, 100%. She would definitely have legendary actions and legendary resistances. She would, I would assume, have a lair somewhere. Maybe even Baba Yaga's heart.
Would her, if she's got a lair, what do you think her lair actions would be?
Cast a spell at will. Maybe up to like 3rd level. For like 2 or 3, or maybe it depends how hard you want to make her. 1, if she has 3 legendary actions a turn and you make it a 1, and she can just like fireball 3 times around, like that's dangerous. So like it depends on how you want to balance her. But yeah, cast a spell, maybe something like teleport within 50 feet somewhere in the lair of her. Something like that. So some cool stuff that you could do. You could look at things like did your camera go off again?
Yeah. It maybe it might have done that.
Yeah, it's cool. It's fine. We'll work with it. As long as the audio is good, it's fine. I mean, you could do anything. You could have one of her lair actions be that she regains spell slots, or stuff like that.
Yeah.
There are loads of magical lair actions that you can take from other creatures that exist already. Maybe it would be to use one of her named spells. That's one I did for Mordenkainen. One of his legendary actions is that he can cast one of the spells that his name is on for free.
Yeah, they made the spell. They should cast it. Yeah, 100%.
Exactly. So maybe she, as a lair action, she can cast Tasha's Caustic Brew or something without using a spell slot. Like, that's a cool little fun one. Stuff like that. That could be a legendary action rather than a lair action. Yeah, so then I'd look at maybe beefing up her AC and stuff with items. Like, she's worked on magic over the years, so she's probably got access to things like Robes of the Magi. She's probably got a Staff of Power or a Staff of Magi.
A Hat of
Wizardry.
Like Come on, guys.
Yeah. There's some real fun items in Tasha's Cauldron of Everything, like that replace spell books. She's probably got a load of those floating around. Like, if you're going to put her in your game, I think, and you've got players who are like, we're going to kill her and steal her items, it has to be difficult, because she's one of these characters that's probably going to have some very powerful items that will unbalance your game. So make sure it's tricky. And with wizards of high level, I always give them the standard of thing of like, well, they're high level, they've probably got a clone waiting somewhere. If they die, they have taken precautions. I mean, she's kind of immortal anyway, so you can write something in with that.
They've got contingency plans. Exactly.
She's probably got the contingency plans cast on her if she knows people are coming. The spell. Her spell book is hidden somewhere because it is an item, an artifact in itself, because it's going to have so much unheard of magic in it. Stuff like that, fun stuff like that you can sprinkle in, like, oh, the rumor of Tasha's, or the rumor of the Witch Queen's Book of Magic, and then you find out that it's Tasha's spellbook, like stuff like that. And then maybe they get it and Tasha wants to hunt them down.
Tasha
and
appears,
like,
then
fun.
They go to the real world, then they fight World War II.
Okay, sure.
Yeah.
I mean, that's a bit out there.
Why
not?
Should we talk about some of the hooks? Because that's what I'm really interested about. Like, what type of things can you do?
Let me tell you my plan
Okie dokie.
that I have, and then we'll go on from there.
Mm-hmm.
So, Brom, if you are listening to the podcast, I know you listen occasionally. Now is the point that you switch off. Sorry, buddy. Spoilers ahead for the Demonomicon. I'm not even going to tell you to skip ahead a certain amount of time because I don't know. We'll probably keep talking about it. So, see you next week, bud.
Bye.
So, is he gone? He's gone. Okay. So, you gone? Yeah, he's gone. Okay.
I think so.
So, Brom in my game is a fungal wizard who has this mark, and in his story that I wrote for him, he's being manipulated by Zugtamoy to basically allow her to be free in the world. He's like her herald. And he needs to find a way of that's an odd text to receive. Sorry, work's just messaged me. So he needs to find a way to like seal her away. So I've told him to seek the Demonomicon, and that's all he knows. So my plan is to have him go and find out some information about the Demonomicon, like where has it been before. He'll find out that it's a book that appears and disappears throughout history, kind of teasing the idea that it travels the worlds. So he needs to find someone who's seen it most recently. Now those characters have already met Elminster, so they'll probably go to him. Be like, we're looking for this ancient text. How do I find it?
And they've rubbed shoulders
Elminster.
before.
Yep, and Elminster is good friends with Mordenkainen. Mordenkainen will be like, oh, you should probably talk to Mordenkainen. He's not here right now because he's travelling around. The last we've seen him in canon, it was in Avernus. He has a tower that teleports. They're like, you should go and see him. He's probably, in Greyhawk. But you can't get to Greyhawk. There is a spell to get you to Greyhawk. In Tasha's Cauldron, it can take you to any world, any crystal sphere, but you have to have an item from that world. Well, luckily, last time Elminster and Mordenkainen met, they played Wizard's Chess, and Elminster either won and kept a piece of the chessboard from Mordenkainen's chessboard as a trophy, or lost and stole a piece out of spite. So he gives them the chess piece, which could be a fun item, if they do a quest for him, and then we'll cast the spell and transport them to Greyhawk, at which point they have to find Mordenkainen. Mordenkainen will go, oh, you want that book? Oh, you want to talk to her? You want to find Igwilf? And they'll be like, who the hell's Igwilf? And he'll be like, the person who wrote the book. But he's going to be against like just giving them that information because he doesn't really like Igwilf. So he will say, okay, go and do this quest for me and I will take you to Igwilf. He will tell them how to find Igwilf, at which point they will find Tasha probably chilling out, writing a book outside a hut which has chicken legs, just relaxing. And they'll be like, we're looking for Igwilf. She's like, I'm Tasha, I am Igwilf. What do you want, guys? And they'll want the book, and they'll have to do a quest for Tasha and Baba Yaga to.
Yeah.
But she'll want it back afterwards.
Yeah. The like potential and the fun you can have with that is great.
Yeah. So I've incorporated a lot of world jumping there because that's good fun. But yeah, so there's a lot that I want to do with that, and I think portraying her as like this knowledgeable, out for herself kind of character is the way I'll go with it. So that's one hook that I'll use. But you could use any. So you could use Demonomicon. You could use any of the items that she has previously been a part of through reading Tasha's in a very similar way. Yeah, or you can just have her pop up as an extremely powerful wizard who's trying to deal with the same kind of world-ending cataclysm as the players, if there is one.
So one of the hooks that I really like the idea of, and this you can put this on any sort of adventure really, is the Demonomicon is being carried by somebody that doesn't know its potential, and it's being opened. And demons are being let loose, and then you kind of have
potentially,
you have characters like chasing after this person who's got the Demonomicon, who's releasing these demons, and then it becomes that sort of idea. And then after that, you can be like, "Hey, do you want to return that to good old Natasha?"
So that's a good fun one. If you find the book or you have the book found by players or part of the story, just have them being like, well, we need to lock this item away. It's extremely powerful. Well, let's take it to the author.
Yeah, and it's also like so powerful that even your characters might go, I kind of want to keep this.
Yeah, there are a lot of items. There are a lot of books, like the Book of Vile Darkness and stuff like that, that exist in D&D as items that are like the Book of Vile Darkness destroys players if they don't feed it with evil deeds and things. So if you really wanted to make it like a burden for them to have, that might encourage them to take it back. Or you just have to build it into the story that, you know, maybe the demons inside or the part of the abyss that's inside the book is infecting the players that are holding it and making them evil, or
making
or
them more demon,
horrific. Yeah, making them demonic, or maybe it's expanding the abyss in them.
Oh yes, that's great. I like that,
because the abyss grows. Like the demons want, in a very roundabout kind of point blank way, and not building into their lore, the demons want to extend the abyss everywhere. And it kind of, like, the best way I can explain is like it's kind of like a cancer that grows out, and wants to consume everything.
There we go, another reason not to have the Demonomicon in your player's hands, because it could just grow and just,
or maybe like they like start seeing their skin changes colour and grows a bit moldy, like if it's Sugtamoy, or like, you know, their teeth fall out and then they wake up from a dream and they're like, what's going on? And then maybe one day they wake up in the abyss and then wake up in real life, and like things just start happening around them, and they have to be like, why is this happening? Work it out. They find out it's the Demonomicon.
It's the book on your desk.
Someone who
please
can contain it.
Please remove it. It's just,
Can you return it, because the
return it to the library.
It's ridiculous now. Yeah, the library really needs that.
The poor librarian.
That's another place you could have her pop up as well. Like if you're using Candlekeep, and hey, Candlekeep Mysteries is coming out in March. So if you're going to use Candlekeep, you could have these big wizards appear there. Like Elminster definitely goes and hangs out at Candlekeep. And Candlekeep is one of those places where to get in, you have to submit a book that's not already in their library.
Oh.
That's how you gain access to Candlekeep. Oh yeah, Candlekeep's a great place.
That's awesome.
We'll do an episode on the lore of Candlekeep before the book comes out, I reckon. Because there's a lot of good stuff in there. And there's a really good third party book that Ed Greenwood worked on DM's Guild that we gave away before. Elminster's Candlekeep Companion, and that's got a lot of lore in it too. So we'll talk about Candlekeep another time. But yeah, to get in, you have to submit a book, and then you forever have access. So Elminster's probably there. Tasha could probably be there. So you could have them pop up in places like that if you want to do a fun cameo.
Yeah.
Instead of hinge a campaign.
It's also something for your character to work towards as well, I suppose. Like learning a little bit about Candlekeep and the fact that it's a mad library.
Yeah, for sure. And I think if you do want to use her in a very big way, the group patron is probably the safest way to do it, because then you can show off her power as well when she gives them assistance. But if you've got characters that already exist, if you just want to drop her into a campaign already running using an item, or using one of her relationships, like if you're running a campaign where they're coming up against Gratzt, like maybe you've been using him already, perfect, she's got a relationship there. You can use her as a way for the characters to find out more information on their target.
And all players, I know this as being a player, like it's so exciting when a character from like a named book, like if you'd have told me before we did this that, I don't know, you just said the name Tasha, I would have absolutely flipped the table, because it's just a fun experience to know that it's that character.
Yeah, it's like when we did the first session of Tomb of Annihilation, and you guys got the boat over to Cholt.
Yes.
And Volo was there, and Ray, bless him, was like, so Volo was big in Dragon Heist, and so these new characters are heading to Cholt, and Volo was like, I'm going to get on that boat and sell my book over there, as he's wont to do. And he met you in the hold and was like, oh, would you like a copy of my book?
Which I thought was awesome.
Yeah, right. I remember Ray being like, "Wait, he's selling Volo's book. Shouldn't Volo be saying that?" I was like, "Yes, this is Volo. It's Volothamp. That's his full name." He was like, "Oh,
yeah.
Shit, okay." But yeah, it's like dropping those, and if that's your thing, then amazing. I love that kind of stuff. If that's not your thing, if you don't I know that Joe, he wasn't big on the lore, and he was like, I I know that they're an important character, but I don't know why, then, fine, it's not your thing either. But,
But I found it absolutely massive when my character was asking Volo for advice.
Yeah.
That was
exactly.
a big moment.
Yeah, it's fun stuff, and I as a player, I love that. I loved in Descent my character meeting Arkham, the Cruel, and meeting Mordenkainen, and me as Ben knowing who they are, but my character not knowing. I love that stuff.
It's
that
awesome.
A lot of fun.
Yeah,
it's like the reverse of metagaming. Yeah,
I love it.
Yeah, I love that stuff. But yeah, so there's so much going on with Tasha, and I'm sure we could talk for another whole hour and a half and just delve into more stuff about her. But basically the takeaway is that if you're gonna stat her up, make her big.
She's way more powerful than you expect. Yeah I
would imagine 20th level characters struggling still, because just because she's that smart as well.
Because just don't use the Archmage stat block for powerful mages. I've learned from a really bad experience where it was just weak. Your characters are going to kill them. You don't want them to die.
I will inevitably stat her because I want to use her, so I will put that out in the Discord at some point for people to grab. But it's that's because I've done Mordenkainen, and I'm pretty confident with how that stat block came out. So I think I can do her justice. I'll give it a go. I'll give it a good try. But yeah, that is your brief look into
my lesson.
Igwilf.
Sam's 101 of Tasha.
Yeah, go out and use her in your campaigns, and just remember this stuff. I think because I have the feeling, based on that interview of Jeremy Crawford, that she is probably going to pop up again in some way or another. There's
gotta be a real world stuff.
I think I don't know about that.
I actually really like the idea of just even not like a full campaign, but just having some characters that have been present in your games encountering Tasha, and then, going to Earth where it's completely different to the mechanics of the world they came from.
Just you wait for my Spelljammer campaign.
I can't wait.
I have had a scenario, a scene that I have a flavor text written out for describing a scene of when characters first arrive in the real world.
Breaking the fourth wall.
Oh, mate, I am.
I'm excited. I'm very excited.
I'll do it for you one day. One day I'll have it.
It'll be awesome.
Well, look, thank you very much for joining me and indulging my love for lore.
Thank you for having me and teaching me.
Yeah. Hopefully you've learned something.
I have.
And you can tell us how you use Tasha. You are, before we go, doing some wonderful work with the podcast over on Instagram. Just helping me out here and there with some bits and bobs. So if you guys didn't know, We Speak Common is now on Instagram. It's at We Speak Common, surprisingly enough. So go and check that out. It's both me and Sam working hard over there,
doing little discussions.
This is what's really nice. Yeah, what's really nice about this kind of launch of the show is that there's a nice little team of us now, working hard. Basically, I just say, guys, can you do this? Because I'm really busy.
I'm just loving this sort of community that's growing. It's great.
And that's the plan, just to build that out. So, get involved. As ever, so on Instagram, at We Speak Common, on Twitter, at We Speak Common. Email is wespeakcommon@hotmail.com. The website is wespeakcommon.com. We're on every podcast platform. We're on YouTube. Come and find us. Come chill out, however you like to do it. And if you want to get more involved, there's the Patreon and Discord server too.
Yeah.
Cool.
Awesome.
Well, Sam, it's been a lot of fun. Thank you very much. And we will be playing D&D tomorrow.
Ooh.
Oh, some dinosaur racing, guys.
Dinosaur racing, guys!
Dinosaur racing! Okay. Thank you, Sam. See you later.
See you later.
Thanks for listening today. If you like the show, do us a favour, leave us a like and review on your platform of choice, and share us with your friends. Send us to your fellow DMs and players so that we can build our community even more. It really helps to get us out in front of more eyes. If you want to support the show, you can by joining our Patreon. Links can be found in the show description and the episode descriptions on all platforms. The music in the podcast is Street Dancing by Timecrawler82. It's licensed under a Creative Commons license by NC. You can find it on the Free Music Archive.